Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Game Master Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, this morning's video is going to be my first look at Amazing Adventures by Jason Vey. This is published by Trollord Games, and it is a pulp era multi-genre RPG built on the Siege Engine game system. Created by Trollord Games initially for Castles and Crusades, and now this appears to be their second venture using that engine into another genre of gaming. So let's take a deeper look at this. So I picked up the hardcover a while back when I bought a whole bundle of hardcover books from Trollord Games, and most of the codexes that I've been covering for Castles and Crusades, and then I also picked up this at the same time because I wanted to take a look at how in other genres they're going to utilize the Siege engine. So I was really excited about that. Now I have to go all the way back to my GURPS days when I started looking at when I think about multi-genre game systems that are fairly generic and you can utilize in a variety of ways. So I'm looking to see how they do that here as well. I also took advantage of a sale price bundle on Drive Through RPG. So for $19, and I'll show you what that bundle is. For $19, you will get the PDF of the core book, and then several other books, a companion, a monster manual, basically, and an adventure book as well. Plus, there are also some free adventures out there or introductory, primers for both the game system and an adventure, and I will show you one of those as well. So, without further ado, let's take a first look, an unscripted and unchained look at Amazing Adventures. So, as I mentioned, I do have the hardcover of this. I will eventually pick up the hardcovers of the other books in this series, just to make sure that I have the complete set and make room for it on my Trollord Games shelf right behind me, which I think I will have room for all three books. But let's go into taking a closer look at the core rulebook. So I will expand the view here so that you can see it clear, and I'll see how much I actually cover in this as we go through. Eventually, I would think that the OGL will disappear, and not soon enough, and then we can just move forward without that. So yeah, as an alternative to just Wizards of the Coast in general, when you do look at other publishers, you're going to get other genres that you don't get from Wizards of the Coast, which I think is a real big plus here. So I'm not going to spend too much time with the table of contents here. I'm thinking that I will most likely get through, hopefully, the introductory section of this before I wrap this up. So let's see. I'll do a real quick recap. You can see it's quite extensive. A lot of different sections, and we are pushing. We're pushing through here about 238 pages. So fairly decent size. An Adventure of the Brotherhood of William St. John. So this begins with a short story. All right, and that is a pretty cool way of beginning an RPG to really set the tone of what you're looking for if you're going to be playing this or if you're going to be running this. And I really like that. I really like the fact that it does start with a short story. And like I said, it really does set the tone and great way of starting a an RPG for a new player looking to come in or a new game master looking to run this. Um, so very important. Really put you in the mood before you even begin. So I will, of course, read this at my leisure, and let's get to the introduction of the game. So, a role playing game. So, what is a role playing game? We will assume that you have at least some idea of what a role playing game is, and I am certainly going to assume that of my viewers, and I'm going to jump forward. So, a pulp game. So, here, maybe this is a little different for some of you. It's all well and good to say that this is a pulp role playing game, but what exactly is pulp? Ask 7 people and you may get 7 different answers. It's difficult to define pulp. To make it back to its roots in the terms refers to the fictional magazines of the 1920s through the 1950s, and it's named for the cheap wood pulp paper upon which magazines were printed, but clearly we're not playing a game about people reading magazines. The pulps, though underappreciated in so called legitimate literacy circles, form a vitally important milestone and landmark in Western literature history. In the pages of the pulps, authors like Robert E. Howard particularly invented the sword and sorcery subgenre of heroic fantasy. Men like H.P. Lovecraft and Robert Bloch brought supernatural horror into their own science fiction, found in the first audiences in the pulps. Guys like Raymond Chandler brought hard boiled crime fiction into the public eye, no pun intended. Without the pulps, authors like Kelly Armstrong, Laurel K. Hamilton, Stephen King, Clive Barker, and Neil Gaiman might not be around, or at least nearly as well known as they are today. It was in these cheap magazines, often thought distasteful and tawdry by the general public, the science fiction, horror, and fantasy literature came of age and took on a life of its own. This game makes no pretensions of bringing role playing into a new level. It's about fun. I'm sorry, there's some people that'll be, oh my God, they're talking about fun in an RPG. Yes, gaming is about fun. And, if you're not having fun at your table is failing. So let's continue on. What we're trying to do here is look at a few specific subgenres of fiction often found in the pulps and at the common parlance usage of the word today. No longer does pulp refer solely and specifically to old magazines. Rather, when people hear the term pulp today, they think of high action, often set in an era during which the magazines were published, that is, the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and often with some small event of the supernatural. Pulp today speaks of hard boiled detectives, fedora wearing action heroes, and steampunk gadgeteers rocketing to battle with their jetpacks against bloodthirsty Thule cultists of the Third Reich. Before you can begin a pulp game, you have to decide what tropes you're going to use. There are 2 specific subtypes of pulp that we are looking at here: literary pulp, and serial pulp, for the lack of better terms. Literary pulp is important to remember. In literary pulp is that this tends to be very dark. Literary pulp abounds in shades of gray. Hard-boiled detectives working a series of grisly, inhuman murder cases must often struggle with their own personal demons as they track down the killer who may or may not be entirely human. This is the type of story in which the femme fatale plays a major role. Never trust a woman with plump, red lips, spectacular gams, and a skirt slit to her thigh. Protagonists in literary pulp are more properly called antiheroes than heroes. Wealthy businessmen by day are vigilante crime fighters at night to be uh, to be it through their use of gadgets or psychic powers and enable them to see the darkest corners their prey's heart. All right, so pulp in general, if you want to put it on it, it's not just our literary pulp, those kind of dark things. And they talk about some examples here. Um, Frank Miller's Sin City. You could look at the more recent TV series Gotham. Gotham's take on Batman, a very dark vision of Batman, even in his youth. Bruce Wayne's youth that covers. That's very pulp. You have movies like Pulp Fiction that, it's called Pulp Fiction for a reason, and it's kind of that darker kind of the seedy aspect of life where it's really hard to, in that particular movie, it's really hard to determine like who is the good guy in that movie. It's a pretty um, tough way to determine who is the actual good guys in that movie. So, because everyone is so flawed and um, just doing whatever they need to do in order to get by. So that's kind of the aspect of pulp that they're talking about here. Serial pulp. Let's take a look at serial pulp now. While literary pulp is generally more true to the roots of the genre, serial pulp is what people tend to think of when they hear the term. Serial pulp is action, excitement, and over the top heroics. It's the story and that harkens back to Saturday morning matinees of the 50s, which would also which will also end with a cliffhanger to bring kids back for the next week. Let's see if they have a really good. So good guys wear white hats and bad guys wear black hats. That describes serial pulp perfectly. All right, so there's a clear indicator of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. And they will go through some of these. Let's see some examples they have. So, like Indiana Jones and The Rocketeer, and so on and so forth, are some examples of that. So, toolkit approach. Final note, players familiar with Castles and Crusades will notice that at its core, Amazing Adventures is extremely similar to that game. Indeed, you should be able to pick up Amazing Adventures with very little adjustment to play in nearly identical to the CNC. However, you may also notice a great deal of options spread throughout the game in sidebars. The Siege engine is eminently adjustable and adaptable to many styles of play, and these sidebars are designed to give you options to tweak your game to fit your preferred style. For example, if you don't like 3 to 18 attribute range, there's an option to replace that range with just -3 to +3 bonuses. Don't like passive challenges created by the hit dice of opponents? An option is presented for opposed check rolls instead. All right, and so on and so forth. So there's going to be plenty of optional rules for you to tweak your own gameplay. And let's go game. So let's see what they have here. So we're going to go into book one, Marvelous Men of Mystery, and we're going to look at assigning attribute scores, choosing primes, choosing languages, choosing a character class, choosing an alignment, which is optional, equipping your character, choosing spells, gadgets, powers, and so on, and then record fate points. Take a note at some of these. So your attributes are very standard attributes that you see virtually everywhere. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Generating your attribute scores. They said that in the um, optional random generation, some GMs and players like to random generate attributes. In this case, simply roll 46, keeping the highest three. That's what most people do. And then do this 6 times and arrange the scores as you see fit. Um, Getting rid of the spread. Let's see. In practice, the 3 to 18 spreads for attributes only matters insofar as it generates a bonus or penalty to siege checks. If the player and GMs wish, they can get rid of the spread. It's possible to simply play with the bonuses. In this case, all abilities should begin at -2, and players have 25 points in which to raise them. No ability can be raised above +3. If the player needs more points, he or she can lower one attribute to -3, gaining 1 point of each of the attributes. So you're just using the point spread, not the point spread. I'm sorry, the spread of the negatives and positives. All right, so all start at -2. So if you have 25 points to spend, you can bring that -2 up to a -1, then to a 0, then to a +1, a +2, and a +3. It would take 5 points spent of the 25 to move that attribute up to a +3. Um, that seems to be quite a lot of points that you're giving. Just to be clear, because you're going to end up with like a +3 modifier in quite a number of attributes that way. So that's the equivalent of an 18. So let me double check my math here. So it would cost 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 points. It would take you 5 points. I would I would not give as many as 25 points to move forward. Um, I would probably cut that down to, maybe 15 or so. So -2. Um, if you had 15, you could bring a bunch up to, a couple up to 9 to 12, and then 2 or 3 up to an 18. So anyway, um, again, this is unscripted and Unchained look at it. So siege checks. The siege engine works based on the attributes that you have and what modifiers those attributes have. And then based on your character class, you're going to have some attributes are going to be your primary. And that means that they're challenge based. In other words, the target number that has to be rolled is a 12 rather than an 18. So if my primary attribute is strength, then if I'm doing something that requires strength, I only need to roll a 12. Now, let's say I have an 18 strength. That means I have a +3 to that roll. All right, now I really only need a 9 in order to carry out that task. Now, let's say that task is then hit with a challenge level. Let's say that I'm trying to lift a rock that is so heavy, it has a challenge level of -3. All right. Or +3 on my target, I should say, a +3 challenge level. Well, now it's not a 9 that I need to roll, but I'm right back up to needing a 12 again in order to lift that particular rock. So that's kind of how the system works. And it is very, very easy to determine tasks and what attribute they might be attached to. And it gives the both the player and the game master much, much more flexibility in what they're looking to do or looking to have happen, because now players aren't thinking about, well, I have this particular skill in my character sheet. They're looking at the situation and saying, well, what attribute am I going to use in order to complete this task? And all the game master has to do is assign assign both like a task and its appropriate attribute, and then a difficulty level that's going to, or a challenge level that is going to make it, either easier or more difficult in order for the player to attempt tasks. So, very simple system to use. It is very streamlined, and it's universally applied through both Castles and Crusades and now here. And you'll see, if you're familiar with that, you'll be very familiar with it here as well. So now we go to character classes. So let's see what we're going to have here. And I'm just going to briefly go over these. I'm not going to spend too much time covering them in depth now. So the Arcanist, and they talk about beginning Emmy. So Arcanists use what's called a magic point system, and so they will have MEP. It allows for them to use their abilities, to use their spell casting abilities. And I will go into more detail, like I said. So here we have, so their primary attribute is Constitution, because magic, I guess, in this setting, takes your Constitution in order to do it, or an Arcanist is contribution, Constitution based. So that's pretty unique actually for a spellcaster. You also see that they have a D6 for their hit die, number of spells that they get, a gadgeteer. I like how they do this, where they'll tell you what they can do, improving gadgets, jerry rigging, using intelligence, and so on. And then when they get down to the actual character breakdown, they'll tell you what its prime attribute is. So either charisma or intelligence, depending on the source of the gadgets. Their D6 as well tells you what weapons they're allowed to use, and gadgets, their level, the amount of experience they need, and so on. Basic to hit is this is when they get bonuses to hit. So a level 2 will get a +1 all the way through. Level 2 through 5 only get a +1. So they're not really a melee combat type of a class. They only go up to a maximum of +3. And then at 13, +1 for every 4 levels thereafter. So at 13, they're I'm assuming a +3 still. Yeah. And then they will go up to +4 on 17. A gumshoe. Climbing, wisdom. So they're using dexterity, wisdom. Hiding is dexterity. Moving silently is dexterity. Um, Face of the crowd is charisma based. Let's see. Overall, they sound like dexterity. Yeah. So overall, a gumshoe is going to be dexterity based. A lot of hit dice. All right. So that surprises me. There were D10 for their for their ability, but they're more combat or strength based, I guess. If you look at this, it's kind of interesting. 10. So small melee weapons, medium melee weapons, handguns, submachine guns, rifles, and shotguns. So they can use a variety of different types of weapons. The hooligan. I like the artwork. I generally like the art style of Troll Lord games. So a hooligan, I'm going to think dexterity D6. A mentalist is going to be intelligence. Oh, wisdom. All right, so wisdom D6. So far, no D4. So pugilist is going to be a fist fighter. Basically, tough as nails, con. Might be Constitution based or possibly strength based. We haven't seen the strength based yet. And their Constitution D12 for hit points per level. Any melee weapon, archaic ranged weapons. That's kind of interesting. Arcane ranged weapons. The Raider, like a Tomb Raider, I guess. And let's see, intelligence D10. They have bonuses in languages, cryptolinguists, disguise, legend lore, scale, survival, traps, resisting elements, and favored weapons as some of their specialty abilities. The socialite, it's going to be charisma based, probably D4. Let's see, no, a D8. Some of these are really surprising me. Multi-class characters. They have some interesting systems on multi-classing, or what they call a class and a half, which they mention right here. And I will spend more time talking about that in detail. And we're still in book 1, so good and evil. So you can have different alignments or no alignment at all. It's alignments are optional. Fate points, Fortune's Favor, alter a single D roll. Mighty Blow, make a single earth-shattering attack. You missed, avoid an attack. Just made it automatically succeed a saving throw. Second Wind, recover lost hit points. Sound the charge, double the attacker's movement for the round. Down but not out, avoid death when reduced to below minus 10 hit points. And Providence Smiles, gain a plot break. And I'll go into more detail with that when I actually talk about gameplay. So now we're moving on to book 2. And let's see. I'm going to hold off on book 2. I will leave this with book 1 because I want to show you some of the other things. So let's see. So as I said, you can get the Amazon Adventure Amazing Adventures bundle. It was $19.99 on DriveThruRPG, and you can go through my my link that's in that's at the bottom of every one of my videos, and you can go there, and it's an affiliate link. So if you purchase it, I get something a little bit back, and it allows me to buy supplements like this in order to enhance your ability to see. See, I just wanted to double check to make sure that I'm on that, so you're actually seeing the bundle I'm talking about. So here you're going to get the PDF of the book that I was just going through for, it's like about $5. And then you can see all the savings that you're getting. It's normally 16. They're giving it in pounds. It's normally like $19 by itself, and you're getting it for about $5. Then here, $16.51. So also $19 for the companion. You're getting it for about $5. Amazing Adventures Manual of Monsters is a little bit less than that, so probably about $15 or $16, and you're getting it for about $3-ish. And finally, this adventure here, which it's normally about $6-7, and you're getting it for about $2. Let's say so. Total saved 67% in savings, and I got the entire bundle for $19.99. So definitely take a look at it here. And then, like I mentioned, I went online to see, and let me just make sure it is here. So, and this is a starter adventure. It's free, and I actually found another one on DriveThru that's also free. So definitely check out what's free out there for this, and it's an open play module for an open end play module for Amazing Adventures. It could potentially be solo too, which would be cool if you want to learn the system. So it's 21 pages long, which is fairly decent sized adventure. You have some characters in here that are either NPCs or playable characters. So yeah, I would take this and use this as a solo adventure. And we get back to over here again. So overall, for our first look, I went basically through book one and the introduction of the book itself. And so with the next video, I will dig a little bit deeper into book two and see where that takes you with equipment and such. And then I'll spend some time creating a character and showing you how to create a character for this and what you can kind of come up with. And then move on to the other either the other books or finish out with this booklet here and then go to some of the other books to show you what content is actually in the companion guide and the monster guide and such. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. The channel is getting very, very close to 2,600. I am well ahead of my 2,500 goal that I was hoping to hit by my birthday on March 31st. So you can already see that I am well ahead of schedule here, about 6 weeks ahead of schedule. So, the more subscribers, the more the algorithm will kick it out there as suggested viewing for other people out there. The more people that come to the channel and leave their comments in the comments section, the more content that I know to look for and to potentially cover for the channel. So, the more ideas that you can give me is the more things that I can then bring to you and to others later on. So it's not simply a self-serving thing like a numbers game. Like I want a lot of subscribers just so I can say I've got a lot of subscribers. It really has more to do with just bringing more content to you that you're looking for. So if there's anything out there that you want me to take a look at, please leave a comment in the comment section and I will take a look at it. If you're a game designer or you're an artist or you're looking to get into, you just want to get your name out there. If you run a YouTube channel as well and you want to, come on to my channel and talk a little bit about what you're doing, then just drop me a line in the comment section in any of the thing and I will determine a way to reach out to you so that I can talk about the game. Maybe you have a Kickstarter that you're getting ready to run or you are already running, and then I can further take your project and spread it out there for others to take a look at as well. And as always, just keep on playing the games that you enjoy playing. Keep those dice rolling, keep your friends entertained at your table. Again, this is a hobby about having fun at your table. Whatever game you're playing and having fun with, that is a success. And just expand your horizons. Look at other game systems out there. Look at other genres that are out there, and this hobby is vastly larger than just one corporation and just one game system. Doesn't matter how much of the market share any one of these game systems work for you at your own table, whether you're a game master or a player. What you want to do is you want to broaden your scope and broaden the amount of in-depth digging you do into the hobby itself. So multiple games, multiple companies, multiple genres, and so on is how you are going to grow both as a game master and even as a player as well. So thanks for popping in. Always good to hear your questions and comments, so please remember to do so. If you are subscribed, make sure that you hit that bell so that you'll get new announcements of when I'm uploading things, and give me some suggestions of what you would like to see me start to cover for video shorts. Those little 60-second videos. I was going through my Robert E. Howard collection of novels. I still have a slew of those to do, but just for it to be fresh for me, if there's anything that you would like me to do as a series of shorts, please leave that in there as well. And I will do a series of short videos covering whatever topic that my subscribers ask for. So without further belaboring the point, have a great day. It's Monday, so hopefully this week gets through fast and you get back to the weekend again. Next weekend is going to be a 3-day weekend for many of us. Those of us in the United States, it'll be President's Day weekend, so many of us will have a 3-day weekend, and hopefully that weekend will bring plenty of gaming to all of us. Have a great day.